Hi guys, I split this video up into two. So I've already done the diorama. It was quite a basic diorama, but it was worth recording for me because it was some new stuff involved. And this is the model itself. So it's the TPZ1 Fuchs Avia Fox in English. And I got this model, I'll be honest, because it reminded me of the famous scene in Die Hard where the M8 Greyhound is coming up towards the Nakatomi Plaza and they fire anti-tank missile at it, and something about that vehicle, the way it was lumbering up. I was disappointed to hear that the LAPD never used them as them armoured cars. It was just an old World War II tank with the turret chopped off for the sake of the film. But this, I think when I saw the box art of this, it reminded me of that, and it just looked like a real brute. It's German, and the UK have some as well, and I think it's a 12-person transport panzer. It's capable of going in deep water. It's basically the answer to the question, where do you want to be when a nuclear bomb goes off? It's inside one of these. All kinds of technology involved. Fantastic thing. But yeah, lovely model to make. As you'll see, as you might see, just a bit of a pain if you're a brush painter, if you're a hand painter, because a lot of fiddly parts on it. So I've got it to the point where it's built. Just follow the instructions to build it. The only issues I had with it, if anything, it was quite complex under the chassis. Lots of different drive shafts, and between the three axles there's a lot of little additional parts to stick on. It all goes together well. It's all nicely designed and engineered. But then it becomes quite a complicated paint job if you haven't painted it. So the thing with the glue that I use, it doesn't get a good adherence on a painted surface. So I couldn't have pre-painted those parts. But you know what? It didn't fall apart or anything when I was painting underneath. It's quite robust. It's quite a robust, well-made model. So I've put I think it's a TOW anti-tank weapon on the top. I've mounted it, and I've put one of the machine guns on the top. But there's definitely 3 or 4 different options for the arrangement of the hatches. There's nothing of the interior. Even through the front windscreen, there's no seats. I think through the front windscreen of the actual real vehicle, you see the bulkhead of the cabin quite close behind. There's just 2 front seats, and then a wall between the rear and the cabin. And they could have just stuck that in, really, for the sake of having something inside. So there's no option for having doors open. Yeah, and I couldn't work out, as I was putting it together, I couldn't work out whether there was the opportunity to have moving wheels and turning wheels and suspension. It seemed over-engineered for it just to be rigid and fixed. So where they would look like there was going to be something pivoting, I didn't glue that part. But in hindsight, I think it is just is all quite fixed. Let me know, guys, if you've done this model and you know the answer, you know whether it's intended to kind of turn its wheels or roll its wheels. At first, tried to limit the amount of glue I put on those workings, but when I got to the end, I was like, oh, I could have just fixed it all and made it easier on myself. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not driving it around on the rug, so I tend to generally fix things like that where it's just a gimmicky, the opportunity to keep wheels turning or to keep tracks turning or whatever. But yeah, if you're brush painting, you have to be very careful with this model. If you've got an airbrush, then go for it. I bet it's a lovely one to do with an airbrush. Actually, I love the painting of a model. That's my favourite part. That's the part that I'm rushing towards, the painting and the weathering and seeing it on a diorama and seeing it like a little glimpse of a miniature world. So I saw all the surfaces on this and I was just thinking this is going to be fantastic. But at the same time, I wasn't buying NATO green, and it's bronze green is the colour it asks for, and I wasn't buying NATO black and whichever brown it was. I've got enough colours in, so the one you see me painting now was flat green by Vallejo, and just like an olive green, and I just did 50-50 and diluted it with water. And then the brown was saddle brown by Vallejo and chocolate brown by Vallejo, and again I did it 50-50 because I didn't have an exact match for them. Did a tiny bit of dry brushing in between each colour of the camouflage, just by adding a little bit of I think light grey to the green, I think buff to the brown, just stepping it down a little bit lighter, and I think I did some Vallejo dark grey when I was doing right at the end when I'd put the black on. So the thing with brush painting, you've got to kind of build it in stages. So you can't paint the spades connected to the side. You can't glue the wheels on and then try and paint the fiddly bits between them and behind them. So I'll just piling it up here to show you the stage I was at where I had dozens of little pieces and parts that still needed to go on. But I painted it with the machine gun on the top and the TOW on the top. And then I just fixed it all together at the end. Didn't have problems really with it. Yeah, not too bad. Some lovely details on the top. Like I say, there's several different options for your hatches, portholes, and vents. There's several different things you can do with the top. You can have just machine guns. You can leave off the anti-tank weapon. There was a life ring because it's got capability to go underwater, or at least in deep water, and it's got propellers fitted to power it when it's in water. So there's a life ring that comes as part of the kit, and I might paint that bright yellow or something that stands out and put that on. By the end of this video, I've not put that on yet. What else? There's a few different accessories that I left off as well. But what's nice is there's a few different things on the sprues that are not even mentioned in the instructions, and they're just like little alternatives. And if you take a good look at the vehicle in real life, get some videos up on YouTube or something, you'll recognise parts perhaps that you can put on. So there is several different versions. I think the first one of these came out of the factory, the Rheinmetall factory in 1979. It's still cutting edge stuff now. So there has been lots of different versions. The British. The British Army got some of these during the war against Saddam Hussein. I think it was Germany's contribution to the Gulf War. They give 10 of these, I think, to Britain, and we still use them. The British ones I've seen are just sand coloured, but the decals in the box set are just for 2 different German versions. So the German ones in Afghanistan were either this European camouflage, green, brown and black, or they did have a desert version which was the same brown and then like a sand. And I don't know how authentic it'd be, but you could put the German decals onto that version and it'd look more or less authentic. So really, yeah, you got two versions of the camouflage. I was wondering as I was building it actually if there was an M8 Greyhound model kit, LAPD, Die Hard. I'll have to look into that. It'd be a fun one to kind of improvise, customise, whatever. But yeah, it's one of them childhood moments where you see something that sticks in your mind for years. I think the American police do have armoured cars, but I think they're civilian built armoured cars. They're not ex-military. I think they have a Cadillac one. So because green was my base coat, I just painted it green underneath. And then in some places I followed the camouflage round, just at least so it was behind the wheels where it'd be visible. I didn't make a big thing about it underneath the model. Most of the underneath was brown, but then when I was dry brushing like a sandy colour over the brown and dry brushing a grey over the black, I did do that underneath as well, just to show wear on the metal and on the paintwork. The versions that I've seen on the internet, they look pretty in good nick. They're not like I'd do my Second World War tanks battered. These are in pretty good condition. The Germans did see some war fighting, I think, in Afghanistan. I think they were in Mazar al-Sharif, and at least they were same as the British and the Americans. They were subject to roadside bombs and IEDs. So there's a couple of pictures of these vehicles with their wheels torn up, and I think it'd take some roadside bombs to take one of these out. 25.5 tons. on the box, I think it says that it's the workhorse of the German military. I'm not surprised. It's just it's yeah, it's a lovely sturdy vehicle. If you've not checked out part one, guys, there's a part one to this. Just where I did a small diorama, rough, kind of rocky, dry desert kind of climate terrain. Sorry, and yeah. So I need to match when I'm weathering this. I'm gonna have to match the colours that I've got in the diorama with some of the weathering colours on this. You know, I love a camouflage scheme as from doing planes for a few years before I switched last year to trying my hand at tanks. I do like a camouflage scheme. I know it's tough when you're brush painting to make it look authentic, to make it look clean and straight, and you know, I'm not frayed at the edges. But I knock it back anyway with weathering. I try and get as clean and smart a job as I can, and then I use weathering to hide the imperfections, and that's certainly true on this one as well. I think I read somewhere that the UK has just spent 16 billion updating its fleet of Fuchs transport panzers. I don't know if that is an accurate number. 16 billion seems insane. But a lot of technology has gone into them to keep them cutting edge, I suppose. All kinds of detectors, chemical sensors. I think I was even watching some footage of like an automatic self-delivery system that it had an IED robot, bomb disposal robot, and it had a sealed chemical warfare safe unit at the back of the vehicle and a lift, and it was all remotely. They could deliver the robot and it could go out and defuse a bomb and then come back to the vehicle and be brought back into the vehicle and not infect the crew and the soldiers inside. So it's capable of all sorts of mad stuff, this vehicle. I've never made an armoured car before. I've made wheeled vehicles. I've made trucks and Kubelwagen and Jeeps. But the Bren carrier, the tracked Bren carrier, universal carrier, is as close as I come to this, you know. And I loved it, but I just felt like there was some missed opportunity there of having doors and hatches open and just having a tiny bit of internal detail. Even the bottom of the hatches, I think, were I don't think the hatches would be open. I don't think the option was there. There was no hinges or there was nothing. It was just they're all sealed on it. But yeah, in terms of kind of making something a bit more fancy of your dioramas, you can get the soldiers for this. Is it Bundeswehr modern German infantry, and I think there's another 2 or 3 vehicles that I looked at that are of the same era. There's like a German Jeep, and then there's the smaller armoured car. So you could do and all served in Afghanistan as well. So you could do quite an elaborate diorama. I mean, it'd be cool to do one of these things hit by an IED and some support vehicles around it, and some soldiers milling about. I don't know how difficult it'd be to tear up the vinyl tyres that come with it, but it'll be interesting. So after the painting, this is the kind of stuff where you're jealous of the airbrush guys, but I did have an airbrush and I just couldn't get into it. So after the painting, very, very gingerly putting all the odd little bits and bats on it. I did have a tube of super glue that I was going to use, but when I investigated it, I'd already opened it and it had dried up. So for the bigger pieces, I had to scrape some paint off, and then just use the Revel glue to glue them on. And with the smaller pieces, the spades and the drills and the saws and things like that. I just did a double glue. I don't handle them roughly anyway. They all they go in a cabinet or on a shelf. And so in Britain, the red and white striped markings on a vehicle mean that it is longer than it overhangs. It's a warning that part of the vehicle is jutting out or overhanging. And I don't know what the red and white stripes mean on a German vehicle, just that it's a large vehicle perhaps. So that's what the square panels of plastic that are not mentioned in the instructions are. They're kind of hazard warning signs. I've left them off though. I've left them off because it's on rough terrain. It didn't need those kind of civilian warning signs. But I briefly showed you on camera there. I started painting them and then just thought twice about it. So this is the finished model on its little diorama. Took it outside so the light was nice. So it stopped raining for a second. I'd love to know what you think, guys. I absolutely love it. I think it looks really good. I'm really pleased with it. The decals are lovely. The scheme, if you follow the box art, the instruction scheme is nice. All the gear that you can put on there is quite lovely. There's this flash on the sprues, but it's very, very, very thin. You'll be able to scrape it off, I think, no problem. It didn't cause me any problems. And I've just used pastels as usual. I think beige, pale grey and a little bit of white to make a sandy effect, just to tie it in with the diorama really. There you go, guys. I hope you like it. Check out the diorama video if you've not already seen it. And thanks for all your comments and your subscriptions, and thanks a lot, guys.